Welcome to Shomach Shov on the Daf Shir sponsor Nishmas Am Yakashom Le'Abbas Yitzchok. We're holding over the Zara Daf Yud Zayin. The Gemara in Udalef says the rule that anybody who's poirish from the Aveira of Minus, he right away dies. And if he does Teshuvah for Minus, he dies. And the Gemara then brings the story of Rabbi Elazar ben Durdia, that he was connected so much to Arias, to Znus, that when he did Teshuvah, the only way for him for Teshuvah to work was he died once he cried and he did Teshuvah. And the Gemara says that level of Arias is similar to Minus. What is the understanding of these Averis? One cannot do Teshuvah, one cannot do a complete return to HaKadosh Baruch Hu unless he dies. So some say, and that's the mashmos of Rav Yonis and Haibeshitz in the Yaros Tvash, when he comes to explain why Elazar ben Durdia died, he said, Kadosh Baruch Hu has Rachmanas in him, like we find in Chanoich, in Sefer Bereshis, that he died in order for him not to go back to do the Aveira. And according to this, in the Mahalach of the Gemara, it sounds the same thing with Minus. Someone is very, very connected to Minus. The only way he can do Teshuvah, where he's sure he's not going to go back to it, is that Kadosh Baruch Hu takes him away right away. But this Mahalach, it doesn't fit so much with the flow of the Gemara. Because the Lashon of the Gemara is Kol peresh mimeno miyad mais. Anybody who leaves it dies right away. And according to this, the pshat is that Kadosh Baruch Hu is mirachem on him and allows him to die in order for him not to go back. That's not the Pashup Shah in the Lashon of the Gemara. So the Maharal in Chidush HaGadas here says something nifla moed, and he explains really the Yesod of Teshuvah. What is Teshuvah all about? Teshuvah, and this is what Maharal says in a few places in his Sfarim, Teshuvah is the declaration and the saying that whatever I did, anything wrong that happened, it's not really who I am. It's something besides me. It's something out of me. Me, when I define myself, I'm toif. I'm the true me is something who's connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ramon Shapir Zatzal always used to mention, we mentioned in previous shiurim, that we say every morning, Neshama sh'asato bi tehoyri, the Neshama is pure. And a person has in his body what receives the neshama, that first element that connects to the neshama, and there it's what we call today the pintel yid. You have the inside, the spark of Yiddishkeit, where regardless of how Russia is, he still has that connection, has the source where he's connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And even though he did so many bad things, he comes and says all the bad things are the external part of me. It's not who I really am. The Maharal says this is in the word Teshuvah. Teshuvah comes from the Lashon Shav, return. What is Shav? What is the letters Shav? Shin and base. Why Shin and base? Because Tov means it's the end. Once a person dies, there's no Teshuvah anymore. So a person has to do Teshuvah before he gets to the end. That's where you go on Shin, right before death, is still opportunity to do Teshuvah. And until where can you go back? You go back until base. Because the Aleph always has to be pure. So when a person has Aleph, he has Aleph which is pure. And then everything else is wrong from base until Shin, but he still didn't reach Tov, which is the time of Miso. He can still do Teshuvah going from Shin back to base, correcting all the Shin back to base. That is Teshuvah Lashon Shav. But if a person, Chalila, ruined his Aleph, meaning his whole essence, his whole body in this world is completely disconnected from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So there's nowhere to go back to. You don't have the Aleph to go back to. When a person gets to that level, the only way to do Teshuvah is to completely leave this world. And according to what Ramosh used to say, you have to go back to the place of the Neshama shesata b'tohiri, which belongs to the higher world. Because in this world, there's nothing in this world that connects to his Neshama. So the Maharal, when a person is connected to Minus, to complete Kfira, so that person is completely disconnecting himself from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And similarly, when a person is completely connected to Arias, like the story of Elazar ben Durdia, which before he did Teshuvah, he was so connected that he traveled the whole world to do Znus. That was his whole essence. He had no other essence in his life. A person like that cannot do Teshuvah without completely leaving the world. Because Teshuvah means to go back to something. Where do you go back to? In this world, he has nothing. So going back means he's leaving this world and going to the place of the Neshama. So it comes out that Elazar ben Durdia is teaching us this Yesod of Teshuvah. Teshuvah is going back to something. A person does not have where to go back to, he has to go back to the Elyonim. But Teshuvah is to go back, to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to connect to our true self. And this connects to the Hemshech HaGemara. The Gemara says that Elazar ben Durdia asked from the Harim V'Gavois, the mountains, to ask Rachamim for him. Shemayim v'aretz to ask rachamim for him. He has the mazolos to ask rachamim for him. So both the Yaros Devash, Rehusid Haibeshitz, and also in the Sefer Ein Elio, they both explain that what Elazar ben Durdia was starting by saying, he's trying to say that maybe it's not his fault they did an Aveira. Maybe the reason he did the Aveira because he has Chomer in him. Chomer refers to the mountains. That's the Chomerius, the material of this world. He said maybe what caused me to do the Aveira is because I have my neshama and guf, like Shamayim v'aretz, that are a contradiction and a conflict, and they don't work together. Maybe it's because of the mazel that I was born in. Meaning Elazar ben Durdia was trying to say, maybe it's not me, maybe it's not my fault, maybe the Aveira is coming because somebody else. So the answer of all these koiches were, we're all going to be mizbatel. We're all going to be canceled out. So the same thing we are canceled out, you can cancel us as well. You had the power to be mizgaber in us. So it's really you. Teshuvah is to come and recognize who is your true self. How the Averis are now you. But the only way to recognize that is to know that you're responsible for these Averis. There was you that could have stopped it. So when you realize that, then you understand, I'm responsible. I take responsibility. Now I recognize my true self. This is the story. This is the Mahalach of Elazar ben Durdia. Anyone who wants to join Shomachshava email list, what's to go, please email shomachshava@gmail.com.